How are we doing, everybody? Primal's podcast is back, and this time it's gonna get a little personal. I'm Primal Instincts, your host, and today we're gonna talk about my sexual identity. I don't know why everybody wants to know this. I mean, mind your own beeswax. No, I'm just joking. I don't mind talking about it. I really don't. I'm a very open and honest person, as you may have gathered from listening to some of the podcasts or vlogs, anything that I like to film and be open about. And this is no different. And I understand because there's actually quite a few people who ask me online and in person what my sexual identity is and if I'm dating anybody or just who I like in general. So here we go. I'm going to take it back to high school. When I was a teenager, I realized that I found both guys and girls to be attractive. And I only dated girls in high school. And it was like the typical puppy love, like making out and holding hands, stuff like that. But I never actually had sex. And it wasn't until after high school that I had my first romantic encounter with another guy. And it was pretty much along the same lines. And I realized early on that I was bisexual. But as a teenager, I didn't identify openly as bisexual because, as we all know, even though it's 2020, there are still some stigmas regarding a man being attracted to other men, even if they like girls too. But me, I grew out of that, and I don't really care what people think anymore. And I think it's cool and a gift, actually, to be able to love everybody. Because my personal perspective, it's if you're straight or heterosexual, you are only limited to loving or being attracted to the opposite gender. If you're gay or homosexual, you are limited to only loving the same gender. But if you're bisexual, you get to be attracted to anybody you want and have fun and romantic encounters with anybody you want. Loving somebody is a good thing, so being able to love everybody is the best thing. And that's the way I see it, and I don't really care if anybody thinks any less of it because that's really their problem, right? I personally don't think that it makes me any less of a man to also be attracted to other men as well as women. And if somebody thinks that of me, then I don't need people like that around me anyways. And that goes for anybody out there. These days, nobody should be ashamed to be who they are and to like what they like because it's what makes you you. And like I said, it's a gift. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not hurting anybody. It's cool. I actually think it's pretty punk rock to be able to be bisexual. And I'm very thankful to be that kind of person. But I do need to roll it back a little bit when I mentioned that I never had sex. I have tried to have sex rather, but I noticed early on when I was, back when I was a teenager and dating, that I like to do romantic things with people, but I never was interested in having sex with them. And this is kind of perplexing to me. And when I would watch like X-rated content on the internet, I would watch like kinky stuff and find it to be really fascinating and exciting to watch, but it was always boring to me whenever people were having sex on video. I didn't understand the appeal. I didn't get it. And I never really fantasized about having sex. I fantasized about just, like kinky romance, just fooling around. And it wasn't until I read something online that there are people out there who they are still sexually active, but they're just not into having traditional sex, like intercourse, breeding. Do you see what I'm saying here? Without having to make it too graphic. But I've just never been into that. And I read about something called asexuality. And for a while, I was actually openly identifying as asexual, or as they call it, bi-romantic asexual, because I had a misunderstanding about this word at first. I thought it just meant that you had no sexual urges whatsoever. But apparently, people can still be asexual, not want to have actual sex, but still do other kinky sexual things. But I understand how this can be confusing for people. And in fact, whenever people would ask me my identity and I would tell them it was asexual, they would either not know what it means, not think that was a real thing, or just think that I don't really know who I am. And they would end up having more questions for me than before with the original question of who I was. So I kind of stopped doing that. I'm also not a big fan of labels. And it's just like too confusing for people, I guess. Like people still don't really understand what that means. I've never been into it. Yes, I've tried it. I have tried it with 2 different girls. Both times it was really, really awkward and uncomfortable for me. It wasn't for me. I'm just not wired to enjoy it. That's just the way I am. And it's a good thing that I don't want to get married or ever have kids because I am that way. And I really don't want to, by the way, because I always get these rebuttals when I explain this to people in person. And there's probably some of you watching who have these same things going through your head. Like, wait a minute, you don't want to get married or have kids? Aren't you going to be lonely? And I'm really not, because as long as I have friends, I'm not alone. I like being single. I like being independent and free and being able to have fun. I totally respect everybody else who likes to get married and have kids. But yeah, it's not for me, but I totally get why other people do it. And there's also the fact that we don't live in times anymore where everybody gets married just because it's the thing to do. And everybody has kids just because everybody's doing it. We don't have to do that anymore. And since it's not something I want to do, I'm not going to do it. And the reason I don't want to do it, sure, it might have something to do with the fact that I've never been into having sex. And like I said, it works well because that kind of goes along with being in a relationship. A lot of people just want sex. Well, you should believe that I'm not into dating either, and that might be a reason for it too. It's just, I don't know, even when I dated in high school, guys, it was like I almost felt like I was playing a game. My heart was really there, but the whole like holding hands down the hall and talking on the phone for hours and just, talking on the phone instead of spending time together, like it was just so cheesy for me. Like I've just never really been like a really strong, like romantic kind of person. Like I've always been a good friend to people. I wasn't always a social person, but I'm very, very much social now, and I like to be around other people. I'm actually energized by a lot of other people. But the whole dating thing was, the mushy stuff, it's just never been for me. But I do have that romantic side to me. And obviously, just because I am bisexual, it doesn't mean that everybody I hang out with is somebody I fool around with either. There might be some fans out there trying to shit me and my friends right now going like, does that mean you guys do things together off camera? Like, I don't want to have to spoil it for you, but we are just friends. I mean, there have been a few friends I almost had romantic relationships with who were featured on the channel. And as I mentioned before, I will cover that in another podcast. But I figured that this one would have to be put out before that since one of them was a girl and the other one was a guy. But yeah, I am trying to answer this question the best I can without putting any confusing answers out there. Because let's go back to some of those rebuttals too that I get from people whenever I tell them this. These are some of the most popular rebuttals I get. And for any of you out there who happen to be the same way as me, you probably get these a lot too. Number one, people like to say, oh, you just haven't found the right one yet. Okay, guys. Like, I know who I am. Okay? There isn't going to be a magical person to come along who suddenly makes me want to have sex. It's literally just, I'm not wired to enjoy it. It's impossible. Okay? I'm not abstinent. It's not a choice. I'm not choosing to save myself or choosing to abstain from having sex. There's literally no interest in me to do it. And that's as simple as that. And there are a lot of people out there like that. I've actually had fans reach out and tell me that themselves. And I've read about it online. I don't feel alone in that regard. I'm not the only one. It is unique though, and I think that's cool. But that's the most popular rebuttal I get. The other one I get is, are you sure? Or is that even real? Like people people are more confused about my identity because they think I'm confused about it. But it's, they're not that way, so they don't understand it. And that's fine. I mean, look at it from my perspective. I'm not into dating. I don't want to get married or have kids. And I could say the same thing, like, oh man, I wouldn't want that. I can't believe some other people do, especially when you have people that complain all the time about how crazy their significant other drives them or how crazy their kids drive them up the wall. But you know that they actually love them. But for me, I just like to be free. It's as simple as that, baby. I'm a free spirit. I want to stay free. But don't get me wrong. I do like to have fun with people. I do like romantic encounters. I have an imagination, right? I fantasize. I masturbate a lot. That might be too much information, but it goes along with this this podcast topic. So I want you to better understand who I am. All right? I'm not broken. I'm just a little different, but I love it. There's the way I am, since I don't date. Like I said, I see beauty in guys and girls. And I love to make new friends. And when I make a new friend with somebody, I assume that they're just a friend. I feel a connection with them. We become friends. We hang out. We do typical things that friends do. And the way I work is I'll wait until somebody shows interest in me. If somebody shows or expresses a romantic interest in me, then I'll pursue it with them if the feeling's mutual. But I really don't like to I rarely will put myself out there first and say, hey, you're really good looking. I think me and you should have a little romantic fun. We don't need to date. I don't have sex. No strings attached. You're free. I'm free. Let's have fun. There's nothing sleazy about it. It's just the kind of romance that I like to have. And some people will be cool with that. In fact, that's what some people are looking for. Maybe they're in between relationships. Maybe they're the same way I am about it. I know some people only want to have sex, or for some people they need to have sex, or some people have this belief in their brain like, oh, well, I can't have any fun with somebody unless I'm in a relationship and dating them. And I respect their beliefs. They're different than mine. And people are different, and that's cool. But for me, that's just the way I do it. But yeah, there's a lot of misconceptions about it when I say that I'm just not into having sex. And I've been asked by people, guys and girls, to have sex with them. I tried having sex with the girls, like I said, and I've just come to accept that it doesn't work for me, and it never will. Giving or receiving. Neither of those are something I'm comfortable doing, and I won't do it. I'm still a lot of fun, If you don't believe me, give me a try sometime. I'm happily single over here. I got the time. Well, that's the other thing, too. I don't use dating apps. I'm not like swiping left or right for anybody. I don't do social media. I don't know. It's just really not for me, I guess. I just, it's just different. It's different. It's a really unique thing for me. But I don't overthink it like some people do. I hope I'm explaining this all correctly. I hope that I did. And I really did want to answer this question because I get it a lot. And even though it's already been written on the official website for a while, you won't believe how many fans are like, you have an official website? But it was already on there. But here I'm saying it in this podcast. If there's any questions about this I didn't answer, feel free to comment them below and I will answer them for you. Give me ideas for the next podcast you want to hear. I'm just trying to think and make sure that I said everything I wanted to say about this before I end it. And I think I did. I went over this a lot before I filmed this. I was like, well, this is a topic a lot of people want to hear. Let's make sure I give them all the answers. So if I didn't, please don't be shy. Leave a comment below and I will answer your question when I can. Thank you so much for listening and understanding. And I really do appreciate it when there are fans out there who relate to me in who I am and what I'm saying. That means a lot. Thank you. Until next time. Oh, I should close it with one thing too. we get a lot of people, now that I've officially told everybody I'm bisexual, they say, oh, so all those things you guys do together on camera, so are you like really into that? I mean, guys, you got to remember, it's a comedy channel, okay? There is such thing as comedy and entertainment. Like, I'm not being rude when I say this, but a lot of times fans will, like, people like to relate, like I said, but sometimes people will project their interest onto us, and they'll say, oh, well, you guys do these videos, you're really into that. I mean, it's not always like that, all right? Like, it is comedy, it is friends just having fun on this channel. That's kind of a given. We're just friends having fun, doing things we like to do. But thank you for understanding and respecting that. Thank you for listening to this. And obviously, if you're a fan and follower, you're not judging me for who I am, and I'm not judging any of you, and that's the way it should be. Life is a beautiful thing. Love is a beautiful thing. It really is a gift for me to be able to love everybody, and I enjoy and cherish the personal and romantic relationships that I get to have with people. Thank you so much for listening. That was Primal's podcast, the sexual identity topic. I will see you again for the next one. Let me know the other topics you want to hear. Send me any questions you have. And Humpty Dump, keep watching our videos and subscribing, because we're about to get into summer and we've got some great videos for you. See you on the next one.